Aria here, and in this video I'm on my Nightblade Magika DPS. I will be going over a couple different gear setups for this build, as well as skills and champion points, and at the end of the video I will also go over the skill rotation. So since this video might be a little bit long, I will also be putting some timestamps in the description, so you can jump to a certain section if you'd like. So let me go right into my first gear setup I have here. So for raiding, my first gear, that I have here is going to be 5 pieces of the Infallible Ether. This is a really great set. Unfortunately, it can be kind of hard to farm. It's going to be dropping in normal SO, AA, and Hellraw, so you can get it in those. To get the gold jewelry though, you're going to have to run veteran on those dungeons. So you know, a little bit harder to farm, but it's a really great set. 3-piece on this, Minor Slayer, which is going to increase your damage done to dungeon and trial monsters, so really good boost to your DPS. And then the 5-piece on this is also going to increase the damage on your heavy attacks, and then also your heavy attacks are going to proc Minor Vulnerability, which is going to increase monster and trial and dungeon monsters to increase their damage taken by 8%. So really good buffs to increase your damage on those bosses. So it is a really valuable set for raiding. Second set I run here is going to be Twiceborn Star. This is also a very popular set for raiding. It does take 9 traits to craft, but it is craftable, so a little bit easier to get your hands on than the, as opposed to the drop sets. So the main thing with this set is going to be the 5-piece bonus. It's going to give you that double Mundus Stone bonus. So if we go over to my character screen here, you can see that I am running the Thief as well as the Shadow. So the Thief is going to increase your critical strike chance, and then the Shadow is going to increase your critical strike damage. So really maximizing my crit damage here. So the next set that I run on this is going to be the Molokina Shoulder, just to increase my spell damage. And then for my weapons, I run Inferno Staff on my front bar, and then 2 swords on my back bar here, just to get the extra damage on with the swords. And then the Inferno Staff, I am a Dunmer, so I do get extra damage on fire damage. So Inferno Staff obviously is a great choice for any race, though. I do have the increased weapon damage and spell damage enchant on my staff here, and that's really good enchant. It's going to increase your damage. It's going to proc a lot because you're going to be leaving with this quite a bit. And then on my back bar, I don't really use my swords. I don't really hit with the swords, but I do have flame damage on them. Just if I happen to be hitting a monster or something, I do have a little bit of flame damage there. And you do want to go with Sharpened. If you're going to be raiding or doing dungeons, you do want to go with Sharpened on both of your weapons here, just to give you that increased physical and spell penetration. So the second gear setup that I have here is going to be a lot easier to get as opposed to running the 5-piece Infallible Ether and the Twiceborn Star. So Julianos is going to be the main set here. 5-piece Julianos, really great spell damage, gives you a lot of critical strike rating, so it's also a really good option for a Nightblade DPS. And then I also run a 2-piece of the Tauric Pact, and then also a Molokina Shoulder, just to give me more spell damage there. And then I do run a 3-piece Infallible Ether on this setup, but you can also run a 3-piece Willpower. Willpower is going to be a lot easier to get than obviously the Infallible Ether, so if you want to run that there instead, that's still going to give you some really good stats and some really good DPS. And then, same as the other setup, I do run an Inferno Staff and then the Dual Wield on the back bar. So same weapon setup as my original build. Okay, so next up I'm going to go over my skills. So I do run 2 different setups. I do have a different setup for single target as well as AoE setup. So I'm going to go over my single target DPS here first. So on my main bar here, my Inferno Staff, my first skill here is going to be Funnel Health. It does really good damage. It also is going to give you your raid or party a little bit of healing. It's going to heal one other nearby ally for 25% of the damage inflicted, so that's really good. It's just going to help out your healer a little bit, which is great. And this is also going to be what you're going to be weaving with your Inferno Staff. So you're going to be casting this with your medium weave on your Inferno Staff. The other skill that I sometimes run here is going to be Crushing Shock. I really only run Crushing Shock though if I need the interrupt. It does do a little bit more damage than the Funnel Health, so I do get a little bit more damage when I do run this, but it does cost some more Magika, so I find running this, I run out of Magika quite quickly, so it's really hard to run on a longer boss fight, so I do prefer the Funnel Health as opposed to that. So the next skill here is Structured Entropy. This is going to give me my major sorcery, so it's going to increase my spell damage by 20%. I like running this as opposed to the sap essence here, only because I really rather be ranged. I don't really like being in melee range with this tune, so the sap essence you have to be a little bit closer to the target to use it, but it does also give you that major sorcery, so you could run that here instead. The other reason I like Structured Entropy is because I do use it in my rotation before my big damage skills. So I will use this before my Ice Comet here and before my Spectral Bow, mainly to get the extra damage you get for after using a Mage's Guild ability. So the passive here and the Mage's Guild, it's going to give you Empower, which is going to increase the damage of your next attack by 20%. So if I cast this first and then cast my Comet, I'm going to get 20% increased damage on that. So it's going to give me a pretty good boost in damage. So that's the other reason why I like running that. The next skill here, Blockade of Fire. Really great damage. It is AoE damage, which is also great. Also, like I said before, I am a Dumber, so I do get a little bit extra damage from this, so that is also great. Fourth skill here, Merciless Resolve. It's going to give me extra damage by 8%. It's also going to give me the Spectral Bow, which is going to be a nice little good burst damage. And then the fifth skill here, Inner Light. This is just going to give me my buffs for my max Magika, so it's going to give me 5% increased Magika. It's also going to give me Major Prophecy, which is going to increase my spell critical rating. So I do run this on both of my bars just to get those two buffs. And then my last skill here, my ultimate on this bar, is going to be Ice Comet. I like running Ice Comet. It's going to give me really good burst damage. It is also going to give me a little bit of AoE. And then I like the Ice Comet because it reduces the target's movement speed by 50%, so it kind of keeps everything, in the area, so monsters can't run out of that damage. So switching over to my back bar here, my dual wield bar, the first skill I have here is going to be Crippling Grasp. Crippling Grasp is great. It does really good damage. It has a really good dot, so it's going to be really great damage dealing for you. Next skill here, I have Refreshing Path. If you see my other videos, you know that I heal with this build. So Refreshing Path benefits a little bit more my heal side that I use with this character, but it does good damage as well. And it is going to help your party out because it is going to heal your allies. So it's going to be beneficial to your raid with the healing, and then it's also going to be doing damage. But if you want more damage, then I would go with the other morph of this, which is called Twisting Path. That's going to give you a little bit more damage as opposed to the healing slash damage. The other skill that you can run here instead which is going to be under the Fighters Guild. I have Lightweight Trap because, like I said before, I like being ranged. So this skill you can cast it ranged on the target, and what this is going to do is it's going to give you Minor Force, which is going to increase your critical damage by 12%. So if you'd rather run that, then that's another great option to run here instead to give you that buff. The third skill here, my Impale, this does a ton of damage once the target is below 25% health. So you will be spamming this once the monster is in execute. And then my fourth skill here, this is going to be how I'm going to be sustaining my Magika siphoning attack. So this is going to, whenever you do damage to the target, you have a 10% chance to restore Magika to you. So this is going to, keep this up almost all the time, just so I'm always getting that Magika return. And then, like my front bar, Inner Light is going to give me my 2 buffs. And then my ultimate on this bar, Soul Harvest, this is pretty much only here to give me the critical damage buff. So if we go under the Assassination Tree, and I forget, oh yeah, it's the last one here, increase my damage dealt by critical strikes by 10%. So that's the main reason why I have it here, to buff these skills critical damage. So that is my single target rotation. So for my my AoE bars here, I'm going to switch over to them now. So what do I change for AoE? So what do? I put my Crippling Grasp on my front bar, and I actually take off Structured Entropy, mainly because on my back bar I am now running Sap Essence. That's a really great AoE, and it has really great healing, so it really helps out your healers in your group. I do keep Refreshing Path because it's great AoE as well, and I do keep Blockade of Fire, which is also an AoE. The other thing that I switch up on my front bar, I run Veil of Blades, mainly because it's got great mitigation when you're doing trash pulls and raids or dungeons. It's really going to help your healers and your party out. It also has really great damage, so anything standing in it is going to take quite a bit of damage, so it's a really good ultimate to have on trash pulls. And then I do switch my Ice Comet over to my back bar because Ice Comet also has pretty good AoE, so I like having it there, so I can either use that, or if the raid needs it, then I'll drop my Veil of Blades. So that's all I change for my AoE bars. So next up, I'm going to go over my champion points. I do have 531 champion points, so I am maxed out on my champion points. So if you don't have as many, I will show you what you want to focus on in your points here. So going right into the apprentice tree, I have 100 points into Elemental Expert. This is going to be the most important one here. It's going to increase your Flame, Frost, Shock, and Magic damage by 25. I have 25%. So you're going to want to put the majority of your points here. Being a Magic or Nightblade, this is going to be the majority of your damage. I also have some points in Elfborn, which is going to increase your spell criticals, and then I do have some points into Spell Erosion, which is your spell penetration. And then lastly in this tree, I do have a couple points in the Thaumaturge. That is going to increase the damage of your damage over time effects. So this is just going to help your dots. The other thing to note here is going to be Staff Expert. I don't have any points in a Staff Expert. I felt that my points were benefiting me more elsewhere, but this could be an option for you as well. This is going to increase the damage of your light and heavy attacks. So this is going to increase when you're weaving with your staff. This is going to increase that weave damage. So moving on, we're going to go over to the Tower tree, and in this tree I have 85 points into the Magician. So this is going to reduce the magic cost of your spells, and then to go along with that, I also have 82 points into the Arcanist. So this is going to increase your Magicka recovery. So these two you want to put pretty much all your points into in this tree, because this is going to be how you're going to sustain your magicka while you're DPSing. I do have a couple points into tumbling, 10 points into tumbling. This is mainly to help me if I need to get away from something and I need to dodge roll, away from something or break free from something while I'm PvEing. This is going to help me out there a little bit. And then as far as the Lord and the Lady and the Steed trees, this is going to be what you need to mitigate damage. I'm not going to really go into detail in these trees, so you can put your points into here where you see fit. But the most important ones is going to be the Magician, and then Arcanist, and then moving into the Apprentice Elemental Expert. So those are really the three big ones. As far as the other points, they're not going to be quite as important. So the last part of the video here, I'm going to quickly go over the DPS rotation for the build. I am in a normal rare sewers, mainly because this boss is really easy to get to, and I am able to do the full rotation on him since he is a boss. So the first thing you're going to want to do is do your buffs, or your Merciless Resolve, and then your siphoning attacks, and then I always start a fight with a heavy attack into my Structured Entropy, Crippling Grasp, Refreshing Path, and then Blockade of Fire. And then you're going to go right into your weave until your Spectral Bow procs. And you're going to do your Structured Entropy, your Meteor if it's up, and your Spectral Bow. Rebuff your Merciless Resolve, and then do your Refreshing Path, Crippling Grasp, Blockade of Fire, and then right back into your weave. When the boss gets below 25% else, you're going to want to go into your Impale to finish off the boss. And that's the DPS rotation.